Hey everyone, it's RemanX here, and I'm here with a very special guest. His name is Philosopher, and if you haven't heard about him, he was the number 4 player to beat Dark Dimension 4. And the reason why we have his advice as a beginner, well, in just under 300 days, he was able to navigate through Dark Dimension 4. Now, I will tell you, he spent some money, but what he did was he learned a lot about missteps and, more importantly, the right steps, and kind of also found a place where you can go and share knowledge among the new players. So go ahead and say hi, Philosopher.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. This is actually really good stuff because I'm a Kraken and I don't have this type of insight, and I think that that's something that we miss a lot of times as content creators, because it's been so long since we challenged new content. Even though I try to start a new account every like 90 days or so, it really doesn't give me the insight that you have. So this is pretty cool.
Well, it's great. I spent a lot of time helping new players and trying to get them going. And one of the things that's important is to know that the game has changed a lot since you started, even since I started, because now there's ISO 8. So you don't want to recycle the same advice of what worked for you 2 years ago, because things have changed quite a bit in the game.
Yeah, so if you guys are tuning into this and the comment says 6 months ago, go ahead and just click on the link over here to go to this server and check out Voltage Sauce. I guarantee there's more up-to-date information and maybe some more newer videos from me or others showcasing some advice. So let's get right to it. So I really like the way this was put together. It's very logical in my sense. So just, why don't you walk me through the free-to-play and why you made this recommendation?
Yeah, so here's the thought process. You want to know in the beginning, how many resources am I going to be putting into this game? Am I somebody who's going to be wailing out? Well, you can skip some steps or not. And if you're free to play, you need to have a team that you can farm very easily in the early game. You're going to get Hulk for free. You're going to get Thor for free. You're going to get Captain America for free, all from calendars or from a achievement in the game. And so these other characters there on the right, Black Widow, Hawkeye, Iron Man, these are also characters that are very quick early farms. And this is a team, Wave 1, after the rework, that works in all game modes. And that's really important if you're a new player, because you don't have the resources to invest in multiple teams, or you'll spread yourself too thin. This team does well in early game arena with healer ISO, which is very important now for new players. It does very well in raids up through Ultimate 6 as well.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good feedback. Now you also have, so let's just talk about it. So Thor, obviously, the Raid Store farm. Hulk is coming in through your achievements. Captain America, I think, is basically gifted relatively early on. Black Widow is
Correct.
an early game farm. Iron Man's essentially a free, quote unquote, legendary, and then Hawkeye is something they most recently added into the early game stages. So I do like that a lot. And anything I missed over here?
Well, one thing I would also just say in the free-to-play row here is, if you are an alliance that already has unlocked war, then you can substitute Asgardians like Sif, for example, who you could buy in the War Store. She also slots really well into that Wave 1 team. You can create a hybrid Asgardian and Wave 1 team that will also proc Thor and do all the good things. And the reason we have AIM on here is because new players need to have a team that works through the villain campaign and also the ISO 8 campaign, which is global. And AIM is a team you're going to have to build up anyways to get through villains 7-1 to 7-3, so you can progress and ultimately farm Hela. And so AIM is a team that you'll ultimately want to get to with ISO between at least 100 to 120K if you're a new player. And this is a team here that you can build that's efficient, because you're not going to waste those resources.
Yeah, they're still pretty good in war. There's a lot of different teams that they can be slotted into that actually make them pretty good. So you brought up an interesting point. So you have the Dolphin level, and the Dolphin level means light spending, moderate spending. And the idea behind it is you definitely talk about buy Hela early in the offers. Is that because just the impact she has, or more just...
Yeah, so I didn't mean to step over you there, but Hela does a couple things, right? First of all, Hela unlocks multiple legendaries. She unlocks Black Bolt. Black Bolt ultimately unlocks Ebony Maw. She also unlocks Phoenix. So she's very, very efficient from that perspective. She's also a character who is really strong in the early game. and she continues to be strong in the late game. There's people who are investing in her for Dark Dimension 4. I use her in the Doom Raid, in the Mystic nodes. I use her in 4.3 Greek Raid. So she's still an end game character. And so if you buy her, the rest of the team, you get Thor for free in a calendar. Heimdall is Arena store. Sif is the War store, and Loki's pretty early farm. And so you're able to put that team together, and they are good in all game modes up until the first few nodes of Ultimus 7.
Perfect. That's actually a really good point, and I think people miss that. So really good. Now you also have the honorable mention, this Wave 1 Shield team offer. I've got a picture of that. We're going to go over that in a little more in depth, because it is there are some offers that if you guys are looking for, kind of know when to expect them, help you kind of gauge what you're going to be building up for your teams, and you'll be able to know what levels will unlock them, which is actually pretty cool. Now, this is interesting because we didn't really have the symbiotes in game when you started, but they've kind of opened the door because they do a lot of stuff really well.
Yeah, the efficiency here is just from a kind of conceptual perspective here. The reason you, as a new player, you want to invest in characters that are newer, that are at the top of the meta, so you don't lose your investment through power creep over time. And ideally, you want to invest in characters that are going to hold value in the late game. And so the great thing about symbiotes is every piece of gear that you put into them, or gold or training mats, is going to benefit you right now in the end game, where all of us are using symbiotes in so many game modes, right? You and I are using symbiotes every day.
Yeah,
and that's the value of them.
U7.5 to farm bio nodes, city nodes, Dark Dimension 4. Just insane amounts of value. Really good call out right there. And then Symbiote Spider-Man obviously being one of the best legendary characters you can acquire in the game. And he's just not really obtainable besides the random chance for milestones. So he is kind of something you're probably going to want to consider buying at some point, whether or not you graduate that Dolphin to Whale. And then, so the honorable mention, Asgard to 6 stars. I think that's actually a really good call out.
Yeah, and the point there is, as we said before, what Asgard to 6 stars is going to get you is it's going to get you 6-star Black Bolt, and Black Bolt remains a highly impactful character. And as soon as you unlock him, he's going to make it very possible for your hybrid team with Hela and him and other characters to do extremely well in Ultimus 7. And he still has impact in the late game. And then also, of course, that 6-star team is going to unlock Phoenix, who, nowadays, newer players are trying to get a Dark Dimension 3.
And to be clear, Hela and Loki specifically. So if you have more questions, like I said, don't be afraid to hop on the Voltage Sauce server, ask some questions. There is probably the single best source of new game knowledge, new player knowledge that I've seen out there. So let me ask you this question. When did you decide you wanted to start spending money on this game? How did you know that you were going to be a free-to-play a Dolphin or a Whale? Did you decide that relatively early on, or...?
So in the beginning, I bought that there's a Venom offer in the very beginning where you get a villain. I bought a few little offers, but then in Arena, I didn't realize, I got bad advice. I was told to focus on Guardians of the Galaxy, who were not very good, but that's what somebody had told me to do. And so I was falling behind everyone in my arena, and we got a free 5-star Red Star Magneto out of an event. And I said, okay, I'm going to whale out to get Magneto. Screw this. He must be really good. And then I didn't realize that Heimdall kind of countered Magneto, and my arena shard was full of Asgardians. So I had to whale out to get Black Bolt. And so after that, that's when I started whaling a little bit, and I realized, wow, I would have saved us a lot of time. And from the beginning, I realized and learned that I just from the beginning could have focused on the Asgardians.
Yes. So one thing you're going to find is your arena shard, when you join the game, is going to be something where it's made up of people that are joining the game around the same time as you. So you're going to have that little bit of catch-up mechanics, and the reason why Philosopher's telling you about Arena is because that's going to be your number one source of in-game economy and currency. You're going to get those cores from that, and the better you do in Arena, the less you'll have to spend overall, because the cores are something you're going to be using to, counter special events, the campaign events, and things like that. But that's for another series. Let's go into some of these offers that you showed me. I think this is actually really, really good. Let me blow this up here. So this is actually really good because you have all the different unlocks here. So let's just zoom in a little bit more so I can navigate it. So you have the level 15, this X-Men offer, $50. So that's an interesting offer. Now, do you recommend that, or you say that that's like, who do you recommend that for?
Yeah, I think it's only for somebody who's planning to spend a lot in the game. So if you wanted to pick one of these offers, I wouldn't pick that one. But if you're planning to just spend, it's certainly a good value as offers go.
Mhm.
But you're basically getting a team that really doesn't do a lot until you get Phoenix. And you only have one character here who is like a late game farm. The other characters, more or less, you either get for free, like Wolverine. Cyclops is now in the raid store, and then the other two characters are easy to farm.
So the one we were talking about, I think, has just tremendous value. Is the level 20 offer here? This shield offer with the shield agents here, and more importantly, you get some wave 1 and a piece of the puzzle for Black Bolt unlock, but also Yo-Yo, who is for your potentially for your Maw unlock, depending on how you're going to be able to obtain her or buy her. So this is actually a very, very good offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yo-Yo is one of the hardest characters in the game to get, and I use Yo-Yo all the time. I use her in right now in almost every game mode. Very, very valuable character. And then this is also going to synergize, as we talked about, with that Wave 1 team.
Yep. And so there's the Guardian offered now. Let's talk about that. So you said you regret the Guardians. I don't think they're going to hold as much in arena. The combination with Minerva is still good for potentially DD2, but I feel like I'm not winning with them in 8.3 Blitz. So if you guys are starting to Blitz, I might say skip that offer. It seems relatively skippable, unless you're going to that whale / Kraken path, or even heavy Dolphin. Now this one right here, this one, the Defenders team, it's interesting because you say block party event. I feel like they benefited the least amount from ISOs, and I feel like they're just behind. Obviously, they're being split up into other teams right now. So I'm curious to see what you think with the fact that Daredevil and Punishers reworks additional teams. Any value there?
I don't think so. I think that the teams that Punisher and Daredevil are in are really for Krakens are very, very late game players who have tons of late game materials that they're going to spend to try to win at Alliance War at high level. So I wouldn't invest in that offer either.
Yeah, and so there's the Shuri Invisible Woman unlock offer, Sinister Six. That's to build a team right there for them. Not terrible. I will say there's some additional offers that'll pop up, like for the Mercenaries now and for a couple others. I still think that this one is only for Krakens if you want to get Shuri or Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman maybe has some resurgence late game. We'll have to see if she's even on a Doom squad after DD4. But for a lot of new players, I think it's really hard to say go terribly hard for Sinister Six because there's other alternatives for getting it done. What do you think?
I agree with you 100%. One thing to keep in mind is a lot of people get very focused on legendaries, and it's all about the legendaries. And actually, in this game, it's not. I would say take that $25 and put it towards getting Symbiote Spider-Man, and you'll have a character who's harder to obtain. And I think will get you more in the game than getting Shuri or Invisible Woman a little faster.
So I load up a game, I start playing day one. I'm not sure if I want to spend or if I need to spend. What do you think is something that you would just give advice to someone? Like how do you know? It's just like, did you know because you were having fun, or what was the factor for you that just made that impact, just besides having to catch up?
Well, exactly. I will say this, a couple things. One thing is no matter what level of spending you do, from 0 all the way up to whale, spending efficiently is very important. And one of the best things that I did was spending on the core refreshes. Okay, I would spend the 50 and the 100 core refreshes, buying cores at $100 if I was going to spend them, as opposed to buying $5 here, $1 here, and $5 there, saving up and getting them all at once. And buying energy, because I think that's a very efficient way of getting all sorts of things, training mats and gold and farming and whatever you need. But I will say that you have to view this as entertainment and doing only what you can afford. And so for me, I could afford more than others, but you want to make sure that you're thoughtful and you plan out what you're doing, both through real life spending, but also when you spend your gold, your training mats. I don't put anything on characters unless I've really thought it through.
And I think we're going to do another series on that, so stay tuned. Philosopher, thank you very much for the insights here on these teams. I think this is good. Like I said, there's additional ways to save money on what you spend. I have some additional links in there to both my Amazon link. Make sure you guys participate in any of this, like Google Play or the Apple Play bonuses. There's always little perks in there. If you do spend some money, make sure you're taking advantage of those offers. Other than that, thank you so much. Like I said, this is just the first in a series with Philosopher, who has opened my eyes and to hopefully get you guys on a better path for starting than the advice I've been able to give from just a narrow perspective at the top of Mount Olympus. Love you guys much. Thank you, Philosopher. And when do you want to do the next one?
Well, we're going to have to do one at least in the upcoming week. We've got a lot to cover.
You got it, bud. Thank you much. I appreciate it.